Today's piece of fan art was made by Tiny Ghost. Remember to check out her links in the below and give her some likes and a follow to see more of her artwork. If you have fan art for me, don't forget to send it to me through DeviantArt, Twitter, or my email as shown on the screen. Wow, it's been a long time since I've done a video, but here we are. So I've been debating on whether to finish this little story or not for quite a few months now, and based on the fact that you're watching this video right now, you can probably tell which decision I've made. While it should go without saying that this video isn't made to badmouth or shit talk Hot Topic, I still love the products that they make and I'll probably continue to shop there still. However, I do feel need to speak out about when the upper management of a retailer or just any business or store in general begins to take advantage of their subordinate staff members. Thus, the title of this video. So with that, this is my experience working at Hot Topic. So I'm gonna start off at the beginning, because the beginning was very okay. I started in November of 2016. The new store, it opened up at a mall that wasn't really that far away from me, and they were having a hiring fair at a closer mall where they already had a store put in. They were doing on-the-spot interviews, and maybe I'll make another video about the interview because it was just really awkward, and I ended up getting the job because I just made a bunch of jokes about being awkward, and I guess they found those funny and decided to hire me. So the longest story is short, I got the job, and a couple of weeks later I started my first shift. And at this first shift, we had all of our new employees together in the store for 3 hours, going from I think 6 o'clock until 9 o'clock in the evening or something like that. It was a 3-hour shift. This was basically an orientation slash getting shit in order night. So we went through all this paperwork together and read through all the policies and the expectations and whatnot, just making sure that everyone's on the same page. We did this as a group, so we had the entire staff at the new store together and we were going over the stuff. One thing I want to mention is that we did the store opened right at the beginning of the Christmas season. So it doesn't sound very relevant right now, but it will be relevant later on. So they opened it up at the very beginning of the holiday season. So everyone was hired as a seasonal employee because they needed all the extra employees to help around the store during the holiday season. So at this meeting, they showed us how to properly fold all the clothes and put the store together and merchandise everything. This was also the night of the American Trump versus Hillary presidential election. And so we spent all night not only folding clothes and putting things away and learning from each other how to do everything. We also spent the entire night checking in on the election results, and we had a really good time. We were laughing about it and wondering, oh my god, who is going to win the election. It was a pretty relaxed night. We got to know our coworkers in the management team, not only as coworkers and management team, but also as who they are and what their interests are, and that was really cool. And I think that was really important to have that kind of community at a store that you work at, because I'd like to think that everybody wants to know their coworkers as more than just coworker, unless you don't like them. But hopefully you do like your coworkers where you're working. If not, maybe you should find another place to work at. There were no real problems for the majority of my time working at Hot Topic. Like I said, I was working with a great management team and a bunch of other great people that were there. We all got along really well, and they were all really good work friends. So it worked out really well. However, there's a few mild things that seemed a little off to me. First off, our store communicated through Facebook. This was also where our schedules were posted. It wasn't a problem or anything. I have Messenger on my phone. I have all of the communication that I need on my phone. But I guess more so, it just kind of seemed a little unprofessional. But it worked for us. So again, it's not a huge deal. We had this group chat where we would communicate about like switching our shifts if we needed to, which is something I actually would encourage other stores to do. Have chat of some sort, whether it's on Facebook or Line or Instagram or whatever, where you can communicate with your coworkers and figure out shifts. If you can get someone to cover because you're sick or something happened. I think that's a really good idea, and I think that that's something that a lot of other stores or just work teams in general should apply to their way of running things, is what I mean to say. I can't tell you how many times I or someone else couldn't get a shift covered because they didn't know any of their employee contact information. So again, that makes this a really, really good idea. But the more unprofessional part was the Facebook group where our schedules were posted. We didn't receive emails or anything with our schedule. Instead, it was just posted on Facebook in a private group. I mean, thank God it was a private group. But still, it's a little weird that this company that you think is professional would use Facebook to post their schedules. Not only this, but our schedules were always changing. I remember like 1 or 2 occasions where the schedule had been uploaded like 3 or more times in a week. So that was really weird. And another thing that just generally sucked was the hours. This was relatively new and a small location. We didn't get as many business as we hoped that we would on most days. This meant that there was not always a lot of hours to give, which in turn meant that the vast majority of us rarely got more than like 6 hours in a week. And even then, we didn't get any shifts longer than 3 hours. And that's partially because in Canada, or at least in Alberta, if you work a 4-hour shift, you're entitled to, or at the time, I think the law changed since then, but at the time, if you work 4 hours, you are entitled to a paid 50-minute break, which means that's 15 minutes they are paying you to not work. And I think that's one of the main reasons why they decide not to schedule people for more than 3 hours, because then they don't have to pay you to go and get lunch or to go get coffee or not work. So they decide they don't want to pay you for having a break, so they decide we're just not going to open that opportunity and we're going to only schedule people for 2 hours at a time. Yeah, we only really got like 3-hour shifts, and that was if our hours weren't already cut completely for whatever reason. These were the only like 2 main issues that I had in the beginning, and even then they were both fairly understandable. Fast forward to sometime in October-ish of 2017, all of the management people that I was working with suddenly all quit for different reasons, and they were all replaced with new people. One thing that I noticed is they didn't have that sort of welcoming feel that the old management team had. They weren't as open to their staffs as the other management team was. They seemed a little bit closed on that. But I initially chalked it up to just me not being used to them. But over time, it really didn't change at all. I began to feel more and more like an outsider, even though I was one of the original staff at the location. Another thing that I meant to mention, and I did not, this is where the fact that we were all hired as seasonal came in. At the end of the holiday season, what was really weird is they kind of like sort of subtly had us competing for the position, which I mean, I don't know if that's abnormal or not, but I thought it was really weird, especially looking back on it. I think it's a little weird. It's just a little thing that I wanted to bring up. But anyway, back to the new management at the store. I would like occasionally try to have a conversation with one of them, and it just seemed a little awkward. I tried talking to the new assistant manager because she seemed a little bit more open than the store manager, but it was only an occasional thing. Come summertime, my 2 jobs weren't sufficing me enough because I was working 2 jobs. So, and I was becoming like way too bored. There was no classes. I didn't have anything to do. And I didn't have any money because between the 2 jobs, I was only working like maybe 7 or 8 hours a week. And I'll probably talk about the other job in another video because that's a whole different story. So I picked up a 3rd job, and this one was 3rd shift, full-time. So if you don't know what 3rd shift is a graveyard shift. It's night shift. So I started working at a full-time job at a nearby gas station from 10 o'clock at night until 6 o'clock in the morning. And this is where the problems really started. Because I was working the night shift, I could no longer come in for the morning shifts. So obviously what I did, I went in and I changed my availability. So to say I cannot come in the mornings and I can only come in the evenings, with the full exclusion of Sunday, because the store closes at 6 and it just wouldn't work because I wake up at 3. Therefore I wouldn't get there until 4. I was almost immediately told that it would be a problem by the store manager when he found out about that. He told me that we were apparently required to have an open availability on Sunday, which basically means that you can't block any time off on the Sunday, which was weird because earlier I had, I think, some restriction on my Sunday availability and they had no problem with it. When I asked why this was a policy, this is basically what he said. Let's say, for example, someone wants to work with us and says they have church on Sundays and can't come in. Then we can tell them we can't hire them because they aren't available to work on Sunday. If you're thinking this sounds like religious discrimination, that's because that's likely what it is. And whoever created this otherwise ridiculous policy found a loophole in order to do exactly that. When I told him that sounded extremely shady, his response was, "That's just business." He told me that it was unlikely I was going to be scheduled on Sunday anyway, which along with the threat of termination convinced me to open up my availability for Sunday. I was under the impression that he would at least try to refrain from scheduling me on those days unless absolutely necessary. Unfortunately, I was sadly mistaken. Immediately after this conversation, he began to only schedule me on opening shifts on Sunday, which opening shift at the Hot Topic at this store was 11 o'clock in the morning. This is a problem because he knew that I would be tired from working all night and I would be going to bed. When I brought this up to him and reminded him that I was going to be sleeping, he told me straight up, Hot Topic doesn't care about if you get to sleep or not. That's not our problem. All that matters is that we're making sales. Of course, because an overtired employee running purely on caffeine at this point will definitely make for the best salesperson. This certainly won't cause any problems at all. I mean, what could go wrong? I mean, it's not like he has another 6 or 7 employees that would be able to work that shift much better than I would. After trying and failing multiple times to find people to switch shifts with in order to ensure that I still get the rest that I needed, I reluctantly sent in my resignation to the assistant manager 2 days before the mall's annual Stampede breakfast, which was right before I traveled to Orlando, and attended the fair with a friend instead. Again, this video wasn't made to slander the reputation of Hot Topic or its upper management. I'm sure that this isn't a belief that corporate office holds, and I doubt that they'd be pleased to hear that this is how that specific location treats its employees. I just wanted to share my experience with anyone who took interest in hearing it. If you have similar experiences, either working at Hot Topic or working at another retailer, or even if you have that sort of experience working in food, please tell me your stories in the comments. I want to hear them. Maybe I'll include them in the video I talk about when I talk about my other job that I had and had to leave. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit the like button and share it with your friends. If not, leave a comment telling me why. I always want to get your feedback to make better videos. So if you didn't enjoy it, or if you found something that was sort of irritating, leave it down in the comments and let me know so I can fix it. I should mention I'm a little bit sick, so that's why I sound a little bit stuffed up, because I am sick. I have a cold. Anyway, don't forget to smash down that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next upload. I hope you're having a good day or night. Time zones are weird, and I will see you in the next video.